The void of space stretched before me like an endless black canvas, dotted with the twinkling lights of distant stars. Through the crystalline viewport of my command bridge, I watched the human cargo vessel drift lazily through the darkness, completely unaware of the predator lurking in their shadow. I am Captain Kravex of the Midnight Talon, the most feared pirate vessel in the Andromeda Arm, and these primitive humans were about to become my next conquest. Captain, my first officer Zalara clicked her mandibles in anticipation, her iridescent scales gleaming under the dim bridge lights. The human vessel shows no signs of detecting our presence. Their shields are minimal, and their weapon systems appear rudimentary at best. A low, rumbling laugh escaped my throat as I adjusted my ceremonial captain's cloak. The garment, woven from the shed exoskeletons of my most worthy opponents, had yet to see any human additions. Of course they haven't detected us, Zalara. These humans are barely past their first steps into space. Their technology is quaint. The bridge crew shared knowing glances and suppressed chitters of amusement. We had all heard the stories about these soft, furless bipeds who had somehow stumbled their way into faster-than-light travel. Pure luck, nothing more. Their vessels were crude, all-sharp angles and exposed structural supports, like children's toys compared to our sleek bioengineered ships. Practical analysis, I questioned, more out of habit than necessity. The answer was already clear: this would be the easiest plunder of the solar cycle. Lieutenant Kexra's tentacles danced across the neural interface console, pulling up detailed scans of our target, human vessel designated Stellar Phoenix. Crew complement of approximately 30. Cargo holds showing signs of rare earth metals and processed deuterium. No military escort detected within 3 light years. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I leaned forward in my command throne, feeling the living ship's nervous system pulse beneath my feet in eager anticipation. The Midnight Talon was hungry. We all were. These humans had practically gift-wrapped themselves for us. Weapon status, I purred, already tasting victory. All bio-cannons primed and ready, Captain. Boarding spores at maximum potency. Neural scramblers calibrated for human physiology. Excellent, I raised my primary hand, letting my claws catch the starlight. These humans are about to learn a very important lesson about venturing into space unprepared. Begin attack pattern Delta 7. Let's show them what real spacefarers are capable of. If only I had known then just how wrong I was. If only I had recognized the strange glint in that human ship's design for what it really was: not primitive engineering, but purposeful deception. But in that moment, watching the unsuspecting vessel through my viewport, all I felt was the smug satisfaction of a superior predator about to devour its prey. Oh, how the galaxy must have laughed at my arrogance. The Midnight Talon was a marvel of bioengineering, a perfect fusion of technology and evolved life. Her hull pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, dark purples and deep blues that made her nearly invisible against the cosmic background. Sensory tendrils extended from her bow, tasting the solar winds for any hint of our prey's movements. Neural pathways carried commands faster than any electronic system could dream of processing. Status report, I commanded, watching my crew prepare for what we all assumed would be a routine plunder. Lieutenant Kexra's tentacles continued their hypnotic dance across the neural interface. The human vessel maintains its current trajectory, Captain. Their cargo holds are radiating heat signatures consistent with active deuterium containment. They're practically begging us to rob them. My bridge crew was the finest in the quadrant. Zalara, my first officer, belonged to the notorious Vixus species, warriors whose very evolution had crafted them into living weapons. Her exoskeleton could deflect most energy weapons, and those mandibles could slice through reinforced hull plating. At Tactical, Kexra represented the best of the Nexili race, their enhanced neural capacity allowing them to process combat data faster than any computer. Their species had evolved in the deep oceans of their homeworld, developing natural bioelectric abilities that made them unmatched at operating our ship's living systems. Deploy the hunting web, I ordered, watching with satisfaction as crystalline filaments began spreading between the stars. Standard ambush formation. Remember, we want their cargo intact, mostly intact. The bridge erupted in predatory laughter. The rest of my crew was just as impressive. Engineers with multiple limbs that could repair ship systems at impossible speeds. Security officers with natural camouflage abilities. Even our ship's doctor could regrow lost limbs through biological manipulation. We were the apex predators of space. Our quarry, the stellar phoenix, continued its oblivious course through our trap. Their blocky design offended my aesthetic sensibilities. Humans had no appreciation for the organic beauty of true space vessel architecture. Their ship looked like it had been assembled from spare parts and hope. Hunting web at full deployment, Captain Zalara reported, her compound eyes reflecting the tactical display. The humans still show no signs of detecting our presence. Their sensors are laughably primitive. I settled back in my command throne, feeling the ship's excitement mirror my own through our neural link. Begin closure maneuver Sigma 3. Let's give them a proper introduction to deep space commerce. The Midnight Talon's living hull rippled with anticipation as we emerged from our hiding spot. Our bio-cannons charged, their organic capacitors humming with stored energy. The crystalline web began contracting, hurting our prey exactly where we wanted them. Attention human vessel, I broadcast on all frequencies, enjoying the theatrical moment. This is Captain Kravex of the Midnight Talon. Your ship and cargo are now our property. Prepare to be boarded. Resistance will be met with creative consequences. The response that came back was not what any of us expected. A calm, almost amused female voice replied, "This is Captain Marina Rodriguez of the Stellar Phoenix. We've been expecting you." The bridge fell silent. Something in her tone made my dorsal spines tingle with the first hint of unease. But I quickly dismissed the feeling. After all, what could one human possibly do against the most feared pirate crew in the sector? I was about to find out, and I wasn't going to like the answer. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Boarding spores showing zero penetration of target hull. Kex Raw reported, their tentacles frantically working the neural interface. "Captain, their hull, it's not responding to our digestive enzymes at all." That was impossible. Our boarding spores could eat through any known material in the galaxy. We'd specifically engineered them to breach even the toughest defensive systems. Yet there they were, sliding harmlessly off the Stellar Phoenix's hull like water off a Glarxian sand snake. "Launch secondary wave," I barked, trying to maintain my commanding presence. "Maximum concentration." The Midnight Talon shuddered as she released another volley of boarding spores. We watched in growing disbelief as they too failed to make any impact. Instead, the human vessel's hull began to shimmer. "By the void," Zalara whispered, her mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. "Captain, their hull plating, its phase shifting." "A new transmission cut through our communications, having trouble with your organic penetrators." Captain Kravex, the same female voice as before, but now tinged with unmistakable amusement. "I'd strongly advise against a third attempt. Your spores are only making my ship's adaptive armor stronger." The main view screen activated without our input, revealing the bridge of the Stellar Phoenix. I found myself face to face with Captain Marina Rodriguez, and my secondary heart nearly stopped beating. She wasn't what I expected. No fear, no panic, not even concern. Just a human female in a crisp black uniform, sitting casually in her command chair with one leg crossed over the other. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and a slight smile played at the corners of her mouth. Behind her stood a crew that looked far too professional for a simple cargo vessel. "Wonderful of you to join us on screen, Captain Kravex," she said, examining what appeared to be a gleaming metal nail on her hand. "I've been looking forward to meeting the famous scourge of the Andromeda Arm, though I must say, your tactics are a bit predictable." "You dare," I began, but she cut me off with a wave of her hand. "Oh, I dare quite a lot," Rodriguez continued, her smile growing sharper. "For instance, while you've been so focused on boarding us, you might want to check your hunting web. I think you'll find it compromised." Zalara spun to her console. "Captain, our crystalline web, it's been reprogrammed. The humans have taken control of our own containment field." "Impossible," I roared. "No human technology could interface with our bioorganic systems." Rodriguez laughed, the sound sending chills down all four of my spinal ridges. Captain, who said anything about technology? Lieutenant Patel, if you would." A human male stepped into view, his hands dancing through the air in complex patterns. To my horror, I watched our hunting web respond to his movements, its crystal lattice restructuring itself against our control. "Wonderful thing. Quantum entanglement," Rodriguez mused, "especially when you combine it with good old-fashioned human psychic abilities." Did your intelligence reports mention that some of us evolved that particular trait? The bridge of the Midnight Talon erupted into chaos as warning signals blared from every console. Our own hunting web was closing in around us, and for the first time in my illustrious career as a space pirate, I felt something I never expected to feel while facing humans. Our mighty bioship, the terror of 3 quadrants, was now trapped in our own hunting web. The crystalline strands contracted slowly, methodically, each movement a mockery of our previous confidence. Status report, I demanded, my claws digging into the arms of my command throne. Weapons systems non-responsive. Kex-Ra's tentacles trembled as they worked. Biocannons, are they receiving conflicting neural signals? The human psychic is somehow interfacing with our ship's consciousness. On the view screen, Captain Rodriguez's smile hadn't wavered. You know what your biggest mistake was, Kravex? Not the attack itself. Not even the embarrassingly obvious ambush pattern. It was your assumption that humans would build primitive ships just because we're new to space. The Midnight Talon shuddered, her living systems screaming in confusion. Through our neural link, I could feel her pain, her bewilderment at being touched by an alien mind. Launch emergency countermeasures, I ordered. Release the void spores. Zalara's mandibles clacked in panic. Captain, our spore chambers are sealed. The neural pathways are being blocked by mathematics? They're using pure equations to disrupt our biological systems. That would be Dr. Nakamura's contribution, Rodriguez commented, gesturing to an elderly human female who was calmly working at a console. She theorized that since your biotechnology runs on organic computing principles, it could be disrupted by forcing it to process unsolvable mathematical paradoxes. Quite elegant, really. My crew was falling apart. Warriors who had faced down quantum leviathans were now backing away from their consoles in terror. The mighty Nexali Lieutenant Kex-Ra had collapsed into a quivering mass of tentacles. You can't do this, I roared at the screen. We are the apex predators of space. We have dominated these sectors for centuries. Correction, Rodriguez said, standing up from her chair. You were apex predators, right up until you met something higher on the food chain. Lieutenant Anders, would you care to demonstrate our point? A human male pressed a single button on his console. Suddenly, every piece of powered equipment on my bridge stopped. The neural interfaces went dark. The atmospheric processors fell silent. Even the bioluminescent patterns on our walls faded to nothing. A targeted electromagnetic pulse, tuned specifically to the frequency of your organic technology, Rodriguez explained, almost academically, developed after studying the wreckage of the last 3 pirate vessels that made the mistake of attacking human ships. Did you really think you were the first to try? Through the viewport, I watched in horror as more ships dropped their stealth fields around us. Not cargo vessels, not merchant ships, but heavily armed human warships, their weapons already trained on my helpless vessel. Now then, Rodriguez said, her voice carrying the finality of the void itself. Let's discuss the terms of your surrender, shall we? Captain Rodriguez's face filled our main viewer as she began the most humiliating education of my life. Behind her, human crew members efficiently worked their stations, looking more like seasoned warriors than the primitive spacers we'd expected. You see, Captain Kravex, she began, pacing her bridge with casual confidence. Humans have been fighting wars since we could pick up sticks. We've had nuclear weapons pointed at each other for centuries. The only reason we survived long enough to reach the stars was by becoming experts at warfare, deception, and survival. A holographic display materialized between our ships, showing schematics of the stellar phoenix. What I dismissed as crude engineering was revealed to be layers of purposeful design. Armor that could adapt to attacks, weapons hidden beneath seemingly structural elements, power systems that defied conventional physics. That deuterium signature you detected, Rodriguez continued, a deliberate leak to attract your attention. Those exposed support struts, quantum cannons designed to look like construction flaws. Every primitive aspect of our ship was engineered specifically to bait overconfident pirates into a trap. Zalara collapsed into her chair, her warrior pride shattered. The stories about their technological infancy, propaganda Rodriguez finished for her, carefully crafted and deliberately spread throughout the galaxy. We learned long ago that appearing weak can be the greatest strength. Lieutenant Cooper, show them our other friends. The view shifted, revealing dozens of human ships decloaking around us, ships that our most advanced sensors hadn't detected, ships that made the Midnight Talon look like a pleasure skiff in comparison. While you were studying our cargo manifest, Rodriguez said, her voice carrying a teacher's patience, did you bother checking my service record? 20 years in Earth's naval special operations. 10 years commanding anti-piracy operations in 3 sectors. This isn't just a job for us, Kravex. This is pest control. My crew watched in stunned silence as human marines materialized directly onto our bridge, their phase-shift armor making them appear like vengeful spirits stepping out of the void itself. Their weapons hummed with power that made my scales crawl. Your biotechnology is impressive, Rodriguez admitted, but it's predictable. Organic systems follow patterns. Patterns can be analyzed, understood, and defeated. We've been collecting data on your species' tactics for years, just waiting for you to take our bait. The human marines moved with practiced precision, securing our bridge without firing a shot. They didn't need to. We were already beaten, and the horrible truth was sinking in. We hadn't been hunting prey at all. We had been prey ourselves. And we'd walked right into the trap. The sight of Captain Rodriguez stepping onto my bridge made my pride ache more than any weapon could. She moved with the practiced grace of a predator, her black uniform pristine, her boots clicking against our organic deck plates. 2 human marines flanked her, their phase shift armor making them appear to flicker in and out of reality. Nice ship you have here, she said, running a finger along the neural interface console. Bit too tentacle-eye for my taste, but impressive engineering nonetheless. I drew myself up to my full height, my captain's cloak doing little to restore my lost dignity. Have you come to gloat, human? Gloat? No, Rodriguez chuckled, settling herself casually in my own command throne. I came to offer you a business proposition. My secondary heart skipped a beat. A proposition. Indeed. See, we humans have a saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. You have skills, resources, and most importantly, connections we could use. Zalara's mandibles clicked in confusion. You want to hire us? More like a mandatory employment contract, Rodriguez grinned, with some very strict terms about who you can and cannot raid, plus a complete sharing of your biotechnology database, of course. And if we refuse? Rodriguez's smile didn't waver. Well, then we get that information anyway, along with a lovely new collection of pirate ships for our reverse engineering division. By the way, your cloak of conquered enemies, very dramatic. I was thinking of starting one myself. The implied threat hung in the air like a plasma charge about to detonate. You're insane, I whispered. No, just human, she corrected. Now, shall we discuss terms? I brought coffee. Though fair warning, last time we shared it with a member of your species, they didn't sleep for 3 solar cycles. Looking at her sitting there, so completely in control of the situation, I finally understood why humans had survived their brutal homeworld. They hadn't just survived. They had thrived on the chaos, learned to weaponize everything, even their sense of humor. Now, 3 solar cycles later, I serve as a special consultant for the Human Anti-Piracy Task Force. My crew, those who chose to stay, helped train human officers in countering bioship tactics. The Midnight Talon has been retrofitted with human tech, making her more formidable than ever. Captain Rodriguez, curse her clever human mind, kept her word about the coffee. The stimulant addiction alone ensures half my crew's loyalty to the humans. The other half stay because, truthfully, piracy seems boring compared to working with these fascinating lunatics. Yesterday we received word of another pirate crew targeting human ships. Poor fools. As we prepared for intercept, Rodriguez turned to me with that same predatory smile, ready to show them why underestimating humans is hazardous to their health, partner. I adjusted my new captain's cloak, made of synthetic material rather than conquered enemies. Much more comfortable, I must admit. Indeed, I replied, watching our transformed bioship power up with a mix of organic and human technology. Though I suggest we skip the coffee this time. Zalara is still bouncing off the walls from last week's cup. The galaxy's changing. The humans made sure of that. And anyone who thinks they're easy prey deserves the ruthlessly efficient, coffee-fueled wake-up call they're about to receive.